you can never have too many goalies. Is it true? Guess we're going to find out. Hey y'all, I'm Chris. This is the Sabre-Cast, and today's a big day because the Buffalo Sabres released their 23-man roster to start the season, and also made a bit of a splash in making a waiver claim, bringing in a goaltender from the St. Louis Blues organization, Colten Ellis. We're going to go through him, we're going to go through the entire roster, and we're going to take a look at if there's any surprises, if there's anything that we should look for, and how the heck are we going to survive having 4 players on injured reserve to start the year. So we're going to dig into everything here, but we're going to start looking at the roster. And we're going to start the roster where we always start on this channel, which is the back end, which is the goalie end, right? So obviously, UPL, he's out. He's on the injured reserve list, one of the 4 players on the injured reserve list. And so that leaves what we all thought was going to be the 2 goalie combination of Alex Lyon and Alexander Georgiev to be the goalies. But the Sabres throw a bit of a curveball, and they bring in Colten Ellis, as they made a waiver claim to get him over from the St. Louis Blues organization, who put him on waivers to try to get him down to Springfield. But now, Colten Ellis is going to be a Buffalo Sabre, at least for a short period of time. And I've heard it said about Colten Ellis that he's essentially another Devon Levi. But actually, if you look at Colten Ellis, as opposed to Levi, who had almost everything handed to him by the Buffalo Sabres, Colten Ellis has had to fight for absolutely everything he's gotten in professional hockey. He played in the QMJHL, the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, for 5 seasons before, and even with all of that, he was drafted in the 3rd round, number 93 overall by the St. Louis Blues in the 2019 NHL entry draft. And when he finally made his professional appearance, it would be with Worcester. In the Q, he played for Cape Breton, only making 3 appearances for them. He played 3 seasons with Rimouski, and he finished his time with Charlottetown. And pretty much each year in the Q, he was either about the same or he improved. Once he got to Rimouski and got some significant starting time, he kept his save percentage above 90. He kept his goals against under 2.5. His final year at Charlottetown, he was outstanding. In his 24 starts, he went 23-1, had a goals against of 1.78 and a save percentage of .926. When he finally made his professional debut, it would be in the ECHL with the Worcester Railers. He'd played 34 games for them, have a save percentage a tick above 90, .905 save percentage, goals against of 3.21. He'd make 6 AHL appearances for Springfield in that rookie year, where he would have a goals against of about 4 and a save percentage of .880, so not the greatest. The next year would be spent in the ECHL with the Tulsa Oilers, where he would very much struggle. Goals against of 3.46, save percentage of .880. And then the next year with the Orlando Solar Bears, 2023-2024, he'd play 21 games, have a goals against of 2.45, save percentage of .923. It seems as if in that year in Orlando is where he fixed his game, because that year he would come up and play for Springfield, where he'd play 16 games, have a goals against of 2.89 and save percentage of .924. And then last year, he was absolutely outstanding for the Springfield Thunderbirds. He played 42 games, had 22 wins, 14 losses, goals against of 2.63, save percentage of .922. He has earned an NHL opportunity. Last year, he was absolutely fantastic. Now, you compare this with Devon Levi. It's actually a very nice, neat comparison because they played the same number of games last year. Levi played 42 games for Rochester. He was 25-13 with a goals against of 2.20 and a save percentage of .919. Basically the same goalie. Levi had a better goals against, but Ellis had a slightly better save percentage. He faced a lot more shots. He actually faced 200 more shots despite playing in basically the same number of games. With Devon Levi being this guy the Sabres have marked for development, it makes a lot of sense to bring in Colten Ellis to try to push Georgiev and perhaps take that backup job or even the starting job from Alex Lyon or Georgiev, because honestly, they weren't very good in the preseason, either one of them. Lyon gave up way too many rebounds in his time, and he gave up a couple soft goals, even though he played fairly well. Georgiev was put in a lot of bad situations by his defense, but the man couldn't make a save to kind of turn the tide or change momentum, which is what you need a goalie to do. And with Luukkonen out, there's nobody who the coaching staff can trust to stand tall. So they bring in Colten Ellis, and they're carrying 3 goaltenders on the 23-man roster. So what does that even mean? What's that going to look like? Well, at this point, I think Alex Lyon is going to be the starter. I think he's going to get the opening night start. And if I were the Sabres coaching staff, this might be a little bit crazy, but I would start all 3 of them in the first 3 games. I'd start Lyon in game 1, Georgiev in game 2, Colten Ellis in game 3, and whoever is hot, whoever plays the best, that's who I'm riding. There's no way you're going to be comfortable with this goaltending situation with these 3 guys. But I do want to see Colten Ellis get his NHL debut and get a shot to play at the NHL level. I think Georgiev needs a reset, and I would really like to see him a backup in the AHL behind Levi. I would really like to see that. I don't know if he'll get through waivers to get that position, but I can guarantee you Colten Ellis goes through waivers again. He's not going to get through. So I think you're in a situation where you probably want to try to put Georgiev through waivers, keep Colten Ellis as your backup or starter with Alex Lyon. And who knows, maybe you found a guy who can be a mail carrier this year. Colten Ellis is only 25, so he's 2 years older than Levi, but he has an extensive professional history. He seems to be developed. It's nothing against Georgiev, but I was never really thrilled with that signing. I'm very content with Alex Lyon as a low-end starter, high-end backup. And depending on what Colten Ellis does, he could be hopefully a solid backup to Lyon. And I think you should give Lyon the opportunity. He's paid his dues at the NHL level. I think give him the opportunity to be the starter until Luukkonen gets back. If he struggles, then I think you can give Colten Ellis a shot, or if Georgiev's the guy still there, you can give him a shot as well. But I really think the writing's on the wall here, that they've determined that Georgiev is probably not going to be the guy. That's the only reason you would bring Ellis in this situation, is to push for more competition. You were clearly not encouraged by what you saw in camp, and now you have a kind of a 3-way competition, and one guy is going to be gone, and then when Luukkonen comes back, and then when UPL comes back, another one of the guys is going to be gone. I think they're not satisfied with anybody, and they just bring Ellis in for more competition. So we're going to be monitoring this goaltending situation all year. We're going to be monitoring this goaltending situation throughout the front part of the year until UPL comes back. Once UPL comes back, he'll probably be they will definitely give him a chance to stabilize the position. But if someone else is hot, it could get real messy real fast. But I am a little surprised there's 3 goalies on the roster, but I understand the decision to bring in another guy based on how poorly Georgiev has played, and also bring in someone like Colten Ellis to try to have another option for the future in case Devon Levi's development continues to stall, or if he has a bad year down in Rochester and you decide that this is just not going to work out. So I think it gives the Sabres a lot of options. I think Ellis is actually a really exciting prospect, although it's an atypical route. He was never highly touted. He's had to work very hard to get where he is, and sometimes those are the goalies who end up being the best in the end because they have built a really strong foundation. Whereas someone like Levi, because the Sabres pushed him so much so early, never really had the opportunity to develop that kind of strong foundation. So now he's trying to find it down in the AHL, whereas Colten Ellis has really developed from the ground up, from 5 years in the Q to the ECHL to the AHL, well over 100 minor league games played. That's the sort of guy who is going to have a lot more in terms of core abilities, or he might not have the natural talent, but he's going to have the core instincts and the foundation that you need to be a top-tier netminder. Whereas someone like Levi, he needs to find that. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, there's a lot to be shook out at this position. We'll see beyond opening night how this changes. It's something we'll be keeping tabs on, certainly through the first part of the season, until UPL can come back. But this also tells me that they do not expect UPL to be back for a while. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying so hard to reinforce this position to ensure they have two goalies, two solid choices in this position. If they thought UPL was going to be able to stably come back, then it wouldn't be such an issue. Also, it came out, I didn't realize this, but on October 3rd, it was revealed that Luukkonen's lower body injury, this lower body injury, is different than his previous lower body injury. So if it was a hip or a groin before, it might be the other one now, and he might be dealing with both. It could become very difficult very quickly for Luukkonen to even come back healthy at all this year. That's the goaltending situation. We'll be keeping an eye on it. Let's move up to the next tier of the team, the defense. So obviously the defense has taken a massive hit. We're going to start the season with our projected second pairing of Power and Kesselring, both on injured reserve. So that leaves us 6 defensemen. Rasmus Dahlin, Bowen Byram, Matthias Samuelsson, Ryan Johnson, Connor Timmins, and Jacob Bryson. They were named in no particular order there. But what you're facing with this is at least your top pairing of Dahlin and Byram is intact. So you can still throw out 2 guys who can eat 25 minutes a night. That's very, very valuable. But underneath that, you're looking at 2 pairings. It's basically 2 third pairings. Bryson, Timmins, Johnson, Samuelsson are all third pairing defensemen. And 2 of them are going to have to be on the second pairing. Now, they can all hold up, but it's gone from an area of potential strength to now an area of potential weakness. And you got to hope that guys are going to step up. I have hope that Ryan Johnson, who had a decent preseason, is going to be able to step up and play pretty well. But like Samuelsson and Bryson, we kind of know what they are at this point. Timmins is solid, but not exactly a guy who's going to wow or amaze you. So the bottom 2 pairings here are going to have to be very solid, very consistent, and we have to try not to put too much on their plate. It's not a great situation to be in, but as Lindy Ruff said, we're going to have to find a way to deal with a bit of adversity right at the start of the year. If they can do that, more power to them. And then we look at the forward group here. You have, in no particular order, Zach Benson, Justin Danforth, Josh Doan, Mason Gertzen, Tyson Kozak, Peyton Krebs, Yuri Kulik, Beck Malenstein, Ryan McLeod, Josh Norris, Jack Quinn, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, and Jason Zucker. I think the forward group is pretty solid in terms it is what Lindy Ruff wants. And particularly, I think Danforth is his guy. Like, he's going to be riding, from what he said, Danforth is the guy that he is. It is the icon of what he wants a hockey player to be. He seems to be very comfortable with the idea of moving Danforth up and down the lineup as needed. Top line of Benson, Norris, and Thompson is probably going to be what it is. Benson has been nursing an injury, but he returned to practice. He should be able to go for the season. You would expect probably the second line to be maybe Kulik, Tuck, Zucker, or McLeod, Tuck, and Zucker. However they want to roll with that. Kulik can handle either third or second line duties. A lot of people say he's more natural on the second line because he simply won't have to check as much, whereas McLeod is a much more natural checker, so he might belong better on the third line with Jack Quinn and Josh Doan. It really depends how you want to set up your offense. I think McLeod and Kulik can be interchangeable as a second or third line center. It just depends the look you want to give each line. But right now, Kulik's been a little hot offensively, so maybe put him in the more offensive role and let McLeod come down with Quinn and Doan. That's a very interesting third line if that ends up being the third line they roll with. Simply because Doan has shown in the preseason he can get in the right place. McLeod is going to hit people. They're really going to need Quinn to come through a bit more offensively because I think Doan and McLeod can generate chances, and it's really going to be up to Quinn to find ways to finish some of those chances. Bottom line, you have perhaps Krebs, Danforth, and Malenstein. That is a good checking line as well. Krebs is not really a great offensive player, nor is Malenstein. Danforth will have to provide any offense that line can generate. I think that's a pretty good group as well. So those were the lines as they were in Monday's practice. So a pretty interesting combination of bodies. I really do like the mixture that they have on these lines. I was a little hesitant about putting Kulik in such a high role. I thought he might be fine I think it might be fine and appropriate to keep him on the third line this year. But yeah, he's a talent who can be offensive as well. And Josh Doan has earned that spot on the third line. I think him and Quinn have played very well together in the preseason. I think McLeod fits in very well with them as well. And even the bottom line I don't hate. Krebs gives that line a bit of credibility. You could put Gertzen in there as well on the left wing instead of Malenstein. I think it's going to be basically the same thing. Gertzen will give you a little bit more checking ability, but Malenstein is the better defensive player, so it really just depends what you want to do on that line. I think it's all at that point just pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I think when we look at these lines and we look at these players, I think the Sabres have done a lot of things right in terms of this team they've put together. It reads as a team that's going to be able to work hard, hit you, generate possession, generate chances, and can score some goals as well. But it definitely reads as kind of a team that can work hard. Now, whether or not they're going to be tough enough, they're going to be smart enough to make things happen, I don't know. In the preseason, there were just a lot of bad positioning situations, mental mistakes, turnovers, what have you. But there were also times where these guys looked absolutely dominant. The forwards, I don't worry about so much. I do worry about the defense right now just because of so many injuries. And the guys they're throwing out there, just their overall play was not so good in the preseason. Samuelsson coming back off of injury. He's already a very tentative defenseman. He'll probably be even more so back off of injury. Bryson is inoffensive as a defenseman. You don't worry about him. Johnson's interesting, and we really need him out there, I think. He might be lower on the organizational depth chart, but I think he has the ability to step up, play physical, but also generate some offense, and I would like to see him in the lineup for sure. And basically, I think you have to give the top guys as much time as you can, and then really just see what you have in that first game with those bottom four guys, and try to give them pretty much even minutes, and then whichever group is playing better, that's your number two pairing. I don't think there's a clear number two pairing with the way the roster currently sits, because those bottom four guys in my mind are almost all the same in terms of their overall ceiling and floor. I think the defense right now is the weak area, and obviously the goaltending is the weak area. I don't think I expected to say when this preseason kicked off that when we started the season, our forward group would be the group I have the most confidence in, but right now that is the group I have the most confidence in. It speaks to just the injuries we have suffered overall and the situation we currently find ourselves in as we step towards the opener. So that's all I have. Not really so much groundbreaking information, but I wanted to update you all on what we could learn about Colten Ellis and just take a look at those final rosters. Do you have any thoughts on this 23-man roster? Did they put the best 23 they could out there given the injury situation? Were there some players that you would have preferred to see on the roster than who ended up on the roster? And what do you think about that acquisition of Colten Ellis? Does it move the needle for you at all, or just another goalie on the pile and they're all basically the same at this point? Was there anyone else you would have rather seen the Sabres pick up off of waivers? Maybe another goalie, maybe someone else to help out the team? Please leave your thoughts and ideas down below, and we'll talk about it. So just a programming note, the Tage Thompson video should come out tomorrow on Wednesday, and then I'll have a season preview coming out on Thursday at some time, and then obviously Thursday night is the opener. So stay tuned for all of that. Tonight's opener between the Blackhawks and the Panthers, I will be trying, who knows how it's going to do, I will be trying to do a live stream of that, just to kind of test everything out and see how the whole live streaming business works. I'm not live streaming the game, but live streaming my reaction to what's going on in the game and just kind of chatting with whoever decides to stop by. So if you have that game on and you want to stop by and talk a little bit of Blackhawks, Panthers, or Sabres hockey, we'll obviously talk about that there while watching the opener. So be happy to see you stop by if you want. And then, of course, Thursday night, same deal. Another reaction stream there for the Sabres opening game against the Rangers. And then there will be one more this week on Saturday night as the Sabres travel to Boston. The full reaction stream schedule is on the channel page, in my channel description on my channel page. So if you want to see that, you can go take a look at that. That schedule is obviously subject to change. depending on my work and my life schedule and just how things are going. But once I have those things scheduled, I try as much as possible to avoid canceling them. But if I do have to make a change, I will let you know, and I will make the change on the schedule as needed. But this week is locked in, so there'll be no changes to this week. Basically, I'm planning on doing reaction streams to games about 4 or 5 times a month, so it's not going to be as common as you're seeing this week. But again, it depends on my work and my life schedule. Obviously, I don't do this full time. I have a job and a family and things of that nature. So I appreciate you all coming by and spending time listening to me rant about the Sabres as much as you do. And I hope you're enjoying what we've put out so far. I've enjoyed talking to everybody on the channel who's left comments and thought about it so far. Thank you all so much for the support. Thank you all so much for the kind words. And boy, this is going to be an exciting season with y'all. So I'm looking forward to spending this year, good or bad for the Sabres, hopefully more good than bad. But even if it's bad, I'm looking forward to spending 2025-2026 season with each and every one of you. So thank you so much for watching. As always, go Sabres. Bye-bye.